we have come to a point where performance is really good of these models, right? GPT-4 large language models, there are others like Bard and Llama and others. They are performing really surprisingly well. One of the areas that my lab has been interested in, and me personally as well, for a number of years now already, is how to understand how these models actually work, right? And that goes back to the same question I have for language. How do I understand how language works? And I want to use the same kind of idea of how can we understand how these models are working internally, because that will, I think, will be the new frontier. That'll give us, if we're able to make any progress on that question, on the understanding question, that's going to be a huge advantage. I think it's the next frontier, because we'll be able to see things that we would otherwise not see as humans, right? So that's one of the beauties about artificial intelligence, is that they're not humans, right? So they're not biased in the same ways as humans are. Of course, because they're trained on human data, they are biased in that sense, but they can see things that we cannot see. So we're developing the techniques in our lab that allow us to introspect the models and try to understand them, how they're learning, and basically that gives you a really big potential to find connections, to find dependencies in data, to basically get insights that you wouldn't have as a human, right? Because as humans, we're biased, right? And so that's how we've been using it for whale communication. That's how other people have been using it to gain insight in mathematics, or in other fields like protein design, right? So I think that aspect of research is very important. And also, industry primarily cares about performance, right? So how these models are performing. And I think academic labs can really push this frontier forward. And one of the things we also started, for example, now that models are kind of proprietary and a little bit more closed and so huge and so powerful that it's very difficult to do this kind of introspection. We've started doing this so-called behavior interpretability, where we can basically start asking model themselves explicitly, how did you get to this result? So I think there's a really potential to kind of marrying this kind of performance with insights from interpretability. There's a real potential for science and other kinds of insights that were not possible so far, because we humans are biased, right, by our nature, by our biology. And so this is a really powerful tool. So I think definitely interpretability is the next frontier.